Hey everyone, welcome back to the film Frontline. I'm your host, and today we are heading back to Westeros. But honey, leave the dragons at the door because things are getting a lot more grounded, a lot more gritty, and honestly, a lot more charming. We finally have the first look and early word on the upcoming HBO original, A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. And as someone who lived and breathed every high and low of the Game of Thrones era, I have so much to break down for you. If you thought the world of George R.R. Martin was only about massive CGI battles and political backstabbing in high castles, this series is about to flip the script. For those who aren't deep into the lore, this series is based on the Tales of Dunk and Egg novellas. It's set about a century before Daenerys Targaryen even thought about waking up dragons. We're following Sir Duncan the Tall, a massive, honest, and slightly naive hedge knight, and his diminutive but incredibly sharp squire, Egg. What's immediately striking about this new adaptation is the scale. We've gone from the world-ending stakes of the White Walkers and the Dragonfire of House of the Dragon to something that feels deeply personal. It's a road trip story at its heart. The production value is still top-tier HBO. You can feel the mud on the boots and the weight of the armor, but the focus has shifted to character-driven storytelling. The casting of Peter Claffey as Dunk is an absolute masterstroke. He brings this physical presence that is intimidating, yet his eyes tell the story of a man just trying to find his place in a world that doesn't always reward honesty. And Dexter Sol Ansel as Egg? Absolutely precious, but with that hidden Targaryen fire that fans are going to obsess over. We're looking at a Westeros that is relatively at peace, but beneath the surface, the remnants of the Blackfire Rebellion are still simmering. This gives the show a unique vibe. It's bright and medieval fair-esque on the outside, but there's a lurking tension about who really deserves to sit on that Iron Throne. We're seeing more of the small folk and the lower nobility, which is a perspective the original series often skipped over in favor of King's Landing high society. Theories and Easter eggs. Let's talk about the implications for the wider franchise. Since Egg is actually Aegon the Fifth Targaryen in hiding, the show is going to be a treasure trove of Targaryen history. We are likely to see ancestors of characters we already love. There's a lot of chatter about seeing a younger Maester Aemon, yes, the one from the Night's Watch, since he's Egg's brother. Theoretically, this show acts as the perfect bridge. It's lighter in tone than House of the Dragon, but it builds the foundation for why the Targaryen dynasty eventually started to crumble from within. Keep your eyes peeled for mentions of Summerhall. While that tragedy happens later, the seeds of the Targaryens' obsession with bringing dragons back are definitely planted here. Now, let's get into my take on this. To be totally honest, I was a bit worried about Thrones fatigue. We've had so much Targaryen drama lately that I wasn't sure if I wanted another prequel. But after seeing the direction of A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, I am officially sold. What I love most is the main character energy Dunk brings without being a chosen one or a prince. He's just a guy. It feels refreshing to have a protagonist we can actually root for without worrying if they're going to commit a war crime by episode 9. This show feels like a Western set in a fantasy world. It's rugged, it's about honor, and it's about the bond between a mentor and a student. The shift in tone is the smartest move HBO could have made. If they had tried to make another epic with thousands of soldiers, it would have felt repetitive. By making it a smaller, more intimate story, they're actually making Westeros feel bigger. It reminds us that there are millions of people in this world who aren't kings or queens, but their stories are just as compelling. My only concern, I hope they don't lean too hard into the buddy comedy aspect and forget the brutal reality that makes this franchise what it is. I want the charm, but I still want that edge. A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms is shaping up to be the Mandalorian of the Game of Thrones universe. It's taking a massive, sometimes overwhelming world and narrowing the lens down to a story with a lot of soul. The chemistry between our two leads is going to be the engine that drives the show, and from what we've seen, that engine is purring. But I want to know what you guys think. Are you ready for a more down-to-earth version of Westeros, or are you only here for the dragons and the massive battles? Does the idea of a nightly road trip excite you, or do you think it might be too slow compared to the original series? Drop your theories in the comments. I'll be hanging out there to discuss all things Targaryen with you. If you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe to the film Frontline for your daily dose of cinema and TV breakdowns. I'm your host, and I'll catch you in the next one. Stay legendary.